Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take the information you send us, your curiosity, and really focus it down into, well, understanding.
Exactly.
You, our listener, you like getting knowledge fast. You love those aha moments, and you definitely want us cutting through the clutter.
And today, that's exactly what we're doing with the material you shared on Krav Maga.
Right. We've got excerpts here from Krav Maga, an essential guide to the renowned method for fitness and self-defense.
Yep. So our mission, our deep dive today is to really unpack the essence of Krav Maga for you. We're looking at where it came from, its core philosophy.
The main principles and how it actually works, for self-defense and fitness, too.
Think of this as your shortcut, your fast track to getting a handle on this famous method.
Okay, let's get right into it. Krav Maga. The name means contact combat in Hebrew, doesn't it?
It does. And that name, well, it really hints at how direct it is. No messing around. Which makes total sense when you look at its history.
Yeah, it wasn't developed in some quiet monastery somewhere. This came straight out of World War II and Israel's War of Independence. Real brutal stuff.
And the story of the founder, Emmerich Lichtenfeld, IMI area, is pretty incredible.
Emi Stior, yeah.
He was a Jewish wrestler back in Czechoslovakia. And in the 30s, with anti-Semitic violence rising.
He didn't just sit back.
No, he actually organized self-defense for his community. This wasn't sport fighting. It was, well, basic survival on the streets.
Right, and you can see how his wrestling background would be useful, but street fights are chaotic, aren't they? Different from the rules of a match.
Totally different. He had to evolve. Then in 1940, he managed to escape the Nazis, ended up in Palestine.
And then comes 1948, Israel's formation. Suddenly his skills were, critically needed.
Critically. You had the early Israeli Defense Forces, the Palmach, Polyam, Haganah, later the IDF.
A real mix of people, right. Not all trained fighters.
Exactly. They needed something practical, something soldiers could learn fast and use effectively, no matter their background. He had to deliver that.
And clearly he did. Krav Maga became the official close-quarters combat system for the IDF.
That's a massive stamp of approval, isn't it?
Huge. And it didn't stop there. The Israeli Ministry of Education even brought it into schools later on.
Yeah, its practical value is just undeniable across the board.
So that brings us to the big question. What makes it so effective, so adaptable? The source talks about 6 core pillars.
Right, the foundations. They are simplicity, instinctive nature, utility, use of weapons of opportunity, adaptability, and proficiency.
Okay, simplicity. That sounds, well, simple enough. Easy moves, especially under stress.
Pretty much. Keep it basic so it works when your adrenaline's pumping.
Yeah.
And that connects right into the second one, instinctive nature.
Using your natural reflexes.
Exactly. It works with how your body naturally reacts to a threat, rather than fighting against it. Train those instincts to be efficient. No hesitation.
Because hesitation gets you hurt. Okay, what about utility?
Utility means a few core defenses work against lots of different attacks from different directions. Learn fundamentals that apply broadly.
Okay, efficient. And weapons of opportunity. I like the sound of that. Using whatever's handy.
Precisely. Keys, coins, a pen, your phone, even a belt buckle. The source even mentions spittle.
Spittle? Seriously? Just for, a surprise factor?
Yeah, quick distraction. Buys you a second to react or escape. Then there's adaptability.
Meaning it's not rigid.
Right. You learn the techniques, but how you use them might evolve based on what works for you in a real fight. It adapts.
Okay, so it encourages some personalization. And the last one, proficiency.
Proficiency just means the techniques work. They're decisive, efficient at neutralizing the threat. You get good at making them work automatically.
Got it. Now, beyond these pillars, there's this emphasis on natural instincts we mentioned. Can you expand on that a bit?
Yeah, it's about not trying to force complex, unnatural moves when you're startled. If someone lunges, you might flinch, right? Krav Maga takes that flinch, that natural reaction, and refines it into an actual defense. It builds on what you already do instinctively.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And the weapons of opportunity thing, the source, gives some really specific examples. It really drives home that mindset.
It does. It's about awareness. Seeing potential tools everywhere. A pen isn't just a pen. It's a potential pressure point tool. Keys aren't just keys.
They can be used to strike.
Yeah.
Resourceful. Okay, another key concept. Simultaneous defense and attack. That's not just block, then punch, is it?
No, much more fluid. The Hebrew term is retsev, continuous motion. It's key.
Retsev.
You blend defense and offense. As you block or deflect, you're already launching your counter. It's a continuous flow. Overwhelm the attacker.
Don't give them time to think.
Exactly. Disrupt their rhythm, their ability to process.
Sounds intense. And effective. The source also talks a lot about targeting vulnerable spots, groin, throat, eyes.
Yes, soft tissue, pressure points, the places where a strike has maximum immediate effect. Temples, nose, ears, chin, jaw, they're all mentioned.
But it also adds a serious warning, right?
Yeah.
Especially about eyes, throat. Only if your life is truly on the line.
Absolutely critical point. It's about self-preservation, not unnecessary harm. Use only the force needed to stop the threat and get safe. It's responsible.
Which ties into the ethical side. Okay, the source also mentions a building block learning process, starting with a 360-degree instinctive defense. What's that?
Think of it as a foundational shield. It's an instinctive way to protect your head and upper body from attacks coming from the outside, hooks, slaps, even weapon strikes.
Like a circular arm movement.
Yeah, a sequence of 7 movements flowing together, it creates this protective bubble. You drill it over and over until it's automatic. Second nature.
The first layer you build on. Interesting. Now, shifting gears slightly, there's also a behavioral code for a Kravis. It's not just about fighting.
Not at all. Emi really emphasized good citizenship, a moral compass. The code includes things like respect, training safely.
Avoiding injury to yourself or partners.
Right. Acting humbly, avoiding confrontation if you can, and, crucially, not using unnecessary force.
There it is again. Only what's needed. And the source mentions the legal side, too. Justification for using force.
Yes. Understanding self-defense law. You need reasonable fear of harm. Lethal force is only okay if your life or someone else's is in immediate danger.
So it equips you, but also grounds you in responsibility. Okay, let's talk training. What's a typical class like?
Well, the source describes the instructor showing a technique, then breaking it down step by step.
And then students practice.
Lots of practice, usually with partners. In Israel, serious students might train several hours a week. It can be pretty intense.
Right. And how do they handle that contradiction? No rules in a fight, but don't get hurt in training.
It's about control and awareness. The techniques are for real, messy fights, but training has to be safe. You use controlled movements, focus on technique over raw power, look out for your partner.
So you learn the dangerous moves safely.
Exactly. Then you gradually ramp up speed and intensity as you get better control.
Now, the source says training is the same for men and women, but with some adjustments.
Fundamentally, yes. Same techniques. But the emphasis might shift. For women, for example, there might be more focus on infighting, elbows, knees, close-range stuff.
Because stats show they face more close-range attacks.
That's what the source suggests, yeah. And things like size and reach are always considered for anyone. Shorter reach, focus on closing distance.
Makes sense. And it's good for kids and teens, too.
Definitely. For them, it mixes basic Krav Maga with fitness, discipline, respect. Often uses games to keep it engaging.
And weapons defenses are included. That's a big part of Krav Maga's reputation.
Oh yeah, defenses against knives, guns, sticks. It's known for that practical side. The principles, like instinctive reaction, apply there too.
If someone's starting out, how long does it take to learn the basics, the essentials?
The source suggests maybe 12 weeks, training 3 or 4 hours a week to get a good handle on some really effective techniques.
12 weeks isn't too bad.
And sometimes, a specific, crucial technique can be learned much faster, even in minutes. But you also need core fitness, right? For power.
Absolutely. It's not just the move. It's having the strength and stability to make it work. Abs, hips, back, that core strength is vital.
And the training itself helps build that. Okay, let's get into some specific techniques. The outlet stance, the basic ready position.
Yeah, what's that look like?
Feet shoulder width, one slightly forward, balanced. Knees slightly bent. Arms up, bent elbows, hands around eyebrow level. Ready to block, ready to strike.
Left or right foot forward.
Either left or right, regular outlet stance. Chin tucked a bit. It's about being stable, but ready to move fast in any direction.
Okay, and we mentioned the 360-degree defense again. Those 7 movements against outside attacks. Practice, practice, practice.
Until it's pure instinct. No thinking involved, just reacting.
Yeah.
That repetition is key.
Got it. What about hitting? Upper body strikes. The source lists a bunch. Low defensive punch, palm heel strike.
Straight punches, hook punches, body shots.
And lots of elbow strikes.
Yeah, a whole toolkit. Low punch from a crouch, palm heel is great, especially if you're worried about hurting your knuckles. Straight punches are your bread and butter. Hooks get around guards.
And elbows for close range.
Super close range. Front, rear, side, uppercut, even over the top. They're devastating up close.
Yeah.
Each one has a specific use, a specific target.
And you can use the same mechanics with, like, a stick or umbrella, that weapons of opportunity thing again.
Exactly. Same body movement. just extending your reach and power with an object. Very adaptable.
Okay, defenses against punches, inside defenses, low defenses.
Timing defenses, inside block, and knee strike. Lots of options depending on the punch. Redirecting, moving out of the way, or even hitting them first.
That inside block and knee strike sounds like Ritsev in action. Block and hit.
Perfect example. Simultaneous. Fluid. Now, shadow boxing, Tipzel box. Why is that useful?
The source mentions practicing in front of a mirror.
Yeah, check your form, move around, work footwork, even close your eyes to visualize. It builds muscle memory, coordination, fluidity without impact.
Good for refining things. Okay, rear attacks. Scary stuff. Reverse knuckles punch, rear hammer fist, those rear elbow strikes.
Critical techniques. You don't see it coming, so the reaction needs to be fast, decisive, using elbows and fists backward and upward to hit vulnerable spots.
Speaking of vulnerable spots, groin strikes, eye gouges, the source is really clear. Extreme caution needed. Life or death only.
Absolutely. These are serious, potentially devastating techniques, highly effective, but the potential for permanent injury means they are strictly last resorts. It underscores the seriousness of the system.
Right, and finger manipulations.
Yeah.
For control. Sounds tricky.
Yeah, using the finger joints against themselves needs precision. Apply pressure, twist.
Yeah.
Causes pain, gives you control. Target the specific joint.
Okay. Kicks, low, mid, head level. The source seems to favor low kicks.
Mostly, yeah. For practicality. Easier to do under stress, harder to defend.
Which kicks does it cover?
Rear straight kick, front straight kick, side kick, defensive kicks, ground kicks. It explains using the ball of the foot or the heel like a stomp. Proper mechanics for each.
And defenses against kicks, too.
Of course. Against straight kicks, roundhouse kicks. There's even a specific defense against knee strikes, the inside knee shin bar. Use your shin to block their knee.
A defense for every attack. Seems like a theme.
Pretty much. And combining strikes, that Retsev idea again is drilled constantly. Kick, knee, punch combinations.
Building that continuous flow.
Essential. Keep the attacker overwhelmed, off balance, no time for them to react properly.
What about when things get really close? Clinching, falling.
Vital skills. How to fall safely. Side fall break, rear fall break so you don't get injured just by hitting the ground. How to retreat safely, like crawling backward. And clinching, controlling someone up close.
Setting up takedowns or more strikes, and defenses against takedowns, like if someone tackles you.
Yeah, using kicks or knees to stop them coming in. Or, if you do go down, knowing how to protect your head and fight from the ground. Ending up on the ground is usually bad, especially against multiple attackers.
Definitely want to avoid that. Escapes from grabs, holds, chokes seems super important too.
Hugely important. Front chokes, rear chokes, standing, on the ground, hair pulls, bear hugs.
Arms free, arms pin.
Yeah, specific techniques for all those common attacks. The core ideas are usually creating space, targeting weak points, using their momentum against them. Fight back immediately.
The source also mentions developing your own personalized moves and the importance of awareness and avoidance.
Right. Awareness first, avoid the fight if you can. That's always best. Then, as you get experienced, you find what works best for your body, your instincts. Personalize it.
And adapting to different types of attackers. Boxers, bigger guys, faster guys.
It's strategic. You don't fight a boxer the same way you fight a grappler. Use low kicks against a boxer to stay out of punching range, maybe. Adjust your tactics.
Versatile. There was also a mention of a 12-week training plan.
Yeah, a structured plan to build those instinctive reactions and the fitness needed. A roadmap for getting proficient.
And levels of skill. Novice, thinking about it. Advanced, instinctive, expert, anticipating.
Shows the progression, right? From conscious effort to automatic reaction. And finally, almost reading the attacker's mind.
And the whole package includes warm-ups, cool-downs, stretching, even visualization.
Very holistic. Prepare the body, recover properly, prevent injury. And mental training, visualizing scenarios, is powerful too.
The workouts themselves mix solo practice, partner drills, and pad work.
Yep, solo for muscle memory, that Ritsev flow. Partner drills for defense, timing, realism. Pad work for power, accuracy. Covers all bases.
So, summing up the benefits for our listener, what can they expect?
More confidence, definitely. Better awareness, increased strength, balance, coordination. It's a solid fitness system too, not just self-defense. Good for body and mind.
And it's not just an individual thing. There's a community. The Israeli Krav Maga Association, IPMA.
Right, founded with Ami. Grandmaster Haim Giddin leads it now. They work to keep standards high, promote the system globally.
And other key figures are mentioned: Blitzstein, Avram, Kahn, people who helped develop and spread it.
Yeah, there's a lineage, a network of experts who've carried it forward.
And the strong recommendation is find a certified instructor, A class.
Absolutely. Books and deep dives like this are great for understanding, but you need hands-on training. A good instructor, practice with partners, that's essential for real skill. Plus, the community helps keep you motivated.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. From the gritty origins and core ideas like simplicity and instinct,
Churetsev, targeting vulnerable spots, the ethical code,
practical training, stances, strikes, defenses against all sorts of attacks, grabs, chokes.
and how it all fits together in training and progression.
Hopefully our listener feels like they've got a really solid grasp now. A quick, thorough entry like we promised. Maybe those aha moments about the history or the focus on instinct.
For sure. And remember, this is a foundation. There's always more depth, more to learn, more to practice if you want to go further.
Absolutely. Which leads to a final thought for you to chew on. Given Krav Maga's whole philosophy of adaptability, of using whatever's around you, what everyday objects might you look at a little differently now? What hidden potential might they have?